I'm going to do a little children's moment. And if you have taken a peek at the sermon, we are talking about being committed to the body of Christ. And Alex is going to preach on that in just a minute. So I wanted to do a little message to feed into that. And this is Gerdy, my gear person. And I quite like Gerdy. Gerdy's fun. I built Gerdy out of these gear toys that we have in our children's library here at First Pres. And if I turn one of these gears, do you see what happens? All of them spin. And I'm turning this one down here on the bottom. But even if I move up here, all of them still spin. And so this is kind of like the foot, you see, and the leg to the knee and the hip, and up through the body and the shoulder and the elbow and the hands and the head and the ears and the eyes. And even if I turn one of the eyes, all of the gears turn. They work together. They feed into one another. They work with one another. But what happens if I was to take part of Gerdy's insides out? Sounds kind of gross, but if I turn the foot, Gerdy's leg is moving, but the rest of Gerdy's body isn't. And that's not what we want, right? We want the body to be fully functioning, as fully as possible. What about if I took Gerdy's shoulder out? Oh, about 90% of the body is working, but we're still missing that arm. Again, we want as much of the body working as it can. And we individually belong to the body of Christ. And we all have our own roles to play. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses to play off of. I can be good at teaching, and someone else could be good at singing, like Miss Marcia. I don't think you want me singing a solo necessarily. I will. It's all about making a joyful noise. I can't play the organ like Mr. Corey. I can't preach quite like Pastor Pete, and I can't be a dad like Alex is. But when we all work together, all of our skills come together, and their strengths make up for my weaknesses, and my strengths make up for some of their weaknesses. And so we want to remember that each of us has a purpose. God has a plan for each one of us. And when we all come together, when we all do our part, then we are fully functioning as the full body of Christ, which I think is pretty cool. Now, I also want to mention that I emailed Sermon Bingo out this morning to all the families of children and youth. So if you want to try to find that in your email real quick, right before Alex gives us the message, you can see if you can get bingo. I have mine waiting in my pew for me. But I want you guys to remember that each of you, again, has a purpose and a plan and belongs to the body of Christ so that we can all work together. Thanks, friends.